Real quick, before we get into the show, I wanted to share a new service called Getita that Ken and I have been using that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. In today's episode, we are excited to have Jana Gavin and Jordan Cobb, the co-founders of iVitamin, join us. Over the past 9 years, they have built iVitamin into a leader in the IV therapy wellness industry, with 2 thriving locations, mobile services, and a strong focus on events and corporate wellness, and now the launch of a fractional franchise model. Jana and Jordan are passionate entrepreneurs who have not only built a successful business, but have also navigated the challenges of scaling, marketing, and creating a model that empowers other small business owners. Today, we'll dive into their journey, discuss the uniqueness of their IV therapy model, and explore how their franchise model can help achieve success in the wellness industry. Jordan and Jana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So to start things off, and Jordan, we'll start off with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and your path into the IV therapy industry?
Sure. Thanks again for having us. And I think it's best to start where it began. And for Jana and I, it's a very unique relationship in business and in personal because we've been really good friends, best friends since college. So we graduated from college and lived parallel lives, both went into pharmaceutical industry and I went into medical device sales. And so we've stayed and remained friends all throughout those years. I mean, Jana likes to say that we basically raised each other. So all the ups and downs of that, but my background has always been in the corporate world. And I had just had my second child and I was selling medical devices and just really intense sales position there. And I remember Jana bringing up the topic of IV therapy. I lived in Austin and didn't even know what it was back then. This was in 2014 and had heard of it, had heard of the hangover cure, but had never tried it myself. Didn't really know what exactly that was. And but, Jana had since been going to pharmacy school and, and the relationship between us being friends and all, she said, we really need to bring this concept to Austin. And so I said, well, first of all, I need to figure out what it is and try it myself. So I was at a medical sales meeting where mornings are super early, nights are super late. You're in a room with speakers all day, which is not the normal healthy lifestyle for an outside salesperson. And they just really push you to the max and the limits, And so I said, okay, we're in Scottsdale. So I went to an IV hydration lounge after the second day there, and it literally saved my life. It was just, a complete reset for me. It was hydration, which I was dehydrated from traveling and going nonstop, and just amino acids that made me feel great. And it was just amazing. Dinner that night was great. And then, stayed up late again that night and then went and did it all over again. And it was just a complete reset for me. And so I immediately called her and said, oh my gosh, I completely understand what you're talking about now. And Austin is the perfect place for this. I mean, I've been in Austin since I graduated college. So now it's been about almost 25 years. And at that time, it was just the wellness. It was kind of known for granola and hippie land here in Austin. I mean, everybody was outdoors and hiking and biking and had to focus on health and wellness. And so I said, I think you're onto something here, but you don't live here right now. So are you saying you want me to start an IV hydration lounge in Austin? And I'll kind of let her take it from here. But that's really how this began. And that's how we started. So
outstanding. I love that story. And talk about right place, right time. Austin has been one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. for the last couple of years, and outstanding. So, Jana, can you share with our listeners a little bit about your path and take it from there?
Absolutely. So for me, my story goes way back from as a child, really. So my mom and dad were both entrepreneurs. I'm a pharmacist. I come from a family of pharmacists. My dad, my two older sisters are pharmacists. And from the moment my dad got out of pharmacy school, he opened a pharmacy. So I always joke that I was raised in a pharmacy, and it's true. Like, I was literally raised in a pharmacy. And so my mom was a nurse, and she created a subset business of the family business, a durable medical equipment business. And so both my parents were very entrepreneurial, very business driven. And so that was my surroundings. I grew up in that atmosphere. Today, my two older sisters are running and operating the family business, the pharmacy, the compounding pharmacy side of it. And my mom is 77 years old. She still goes to work every day and is running her business. And so, again, these are my models that I have, in my life. But from a compounding pharmacy standpoint, my dad has been heavily involved in the regulations and lobbying for the rights for compounding pharmacists. So I can remember as a teenager going to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. and lobbying for compounders, rights to be able to continue compounding pharmacy. So when I say this is ingrained in my blood, it's truly from my roots. And so one of my older sisters is a member of the State Board of Pharmacy. And so it's really nice to have that insight of upcoming regulations and having my foot in the door as far as what's to come. And so when it comes to IV therapy, my very first experience with that, there was a physician that was renting a room out of my mom's business, of her DME equipment business. And this doctor at the time was a family practitioner, but this was almost 30 years ago, Okay, let's do math. But at the time, there wasn't the label of functional medicine, that didn't exist. But this particular doctor did think outside of the box. And so as a teenager, I had mono a lot. I was run down. I was a dancer. I felt like crap. I just was low energy. And this particular doctor was like, let me try a Myers cocktail on you. And at the time, what is that? I'm a teenager, pretty much a kid. But, Myers cocktails have been around for a while and kind of the staple and what is now known as IV therapy. But that's really how that started. And so after my experience with that, I felt better. I was able to continue on and go to college. It really helped a lot of things. And it was at that point in time when I realized how important nutrition and taking care of myself really, really mattered. And so with that, little did I know that what that one experience with a Myers cocktail would have for my life moving forward. So that's my experience and background of really how that started.
That's a really interesting story and really good story. I after interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs, I have found that oftentimes people who have parents that are entrepreneurs, they either dive right in or they run as far as they possibly can away from entrepreneurship.
I did. I ran for it.
Yeah.
I ran. I was like, I'm the youngest of three children. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not doing the family business. I'm going to go get a business degree. And I did. And that's when Jordan and I met. It was in undergrad. I got, business administration, finance degree. And then I worked in corporate America. Like Jordan said, I was a drug rep. We were living parallel lives. And then I had the opportunity to go back to pharmacy school. And so I went back, later in age, but that's, kind of the map.
And ever since we've known each other, we've always had the adventure, work hard, play hard, ingrained in both of us, which is why we've been best friends for the last 25 years. But along with that, as you age, as you know, I'm sure, David, things don't sat back like they used to, and you start feeling the effects more than you did when you were younger. And so we both have always shared a passion for the health and wellness space and taking care of ourselves. And then also a passion for life, traveling a bunch. We still travel together and all those things that are necessary to feel good, to enjoy. And so that was also a big piece of, being able to create this lifestyle that, gave us that ability to feel our best and have that health and wellness. So
absolutely. And yeah, you guys are living it. I love that. I really love that. So iVitamin's been around for 9 years. Can you walk us through kind of the inception, like this is the idea, to some of those exciting milestones over the way?
Yeah, I mean, backing up a little bit, when Jana came to me and said, we need to start this business, she did not live in Austin. And so putting that together and, we also were having babies at the same time. I mean, I had just had my daughter and I had a 1-year-old son. She was about to have a child and had a right around that same time. And so the inspiration, once we started, which was at the time a side project, turned into no turning back.
Not a fun little side gig. Fun. It wasn't just a side gig. It was a full-time thing.
Jana had met her husband. So I'll let you share that piece of the story because I feel like it is part of it.
Important piece of it. So as a family of pharmacists, we go to this pharmacy convention every year. It's where we go get our CEs. We get to reconnect with fellow pharmacists. Well, I met this man at this pharmacy convention because he has a pharmacy in the Northeast, and it was instant. It was fireworks. That was that. And so at that point in time in my life, I had already opened 2 compounding pharmacies here in Austin with my then business partner, and I was living my best life. Except this big missing piece was the love of my life, which I met at this pharmacy convention. My family was there. We all met at the same time. And so the writing was on the wall for me in terms of, it was a no-brainer. I met the man of my dreams. And so I'm going to sell my shares, move out of Austin, and I went to live in the Northeast outside of Philly. So I guess I couldn't help myself at that point in time. I was about to have a baby, but this idea came to fruition from me living in the Northeast and Jordan living here.
So what that looked like at that time was starting the business with other partners. And Jana was traveling back and forth with a baby each month to be physically there and doing a lot of things remotely. And we opened our doors in July of 2016 in our original location. And if you're familiar with Austin, it's on the corner of South Congress and Riverside. So right by the trail and very close to Zilker Park. And, we consider really the heart and soul of Austin. And so, having Jana's background of owning pharmacies, but also, just like any entrepreneur, I left the corporate world to have more flexibility and control over my schedule. And I think that's just the biggest joke that we all end up realizing real quick. Because, I like to say I learned more things that I never wanted to know, but that were necessary. And, just a lot of grit, but then also that passion and that reason why we started it in the first place, to bring that to others and something we deeply care about, and incorporate into our lives was, the big, I guess, kicker for us and able to stick with it. And when we talk about milestones, that second month that we were in business, we saw 500 patients. So, we were rocking and rolling and acting as if and, doing the best we can and learning as we go. So there were a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges and, those gritty weekly cash flow calls and all the things that come with that, and just figuring out processes. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is just never having cut corners. Jana being a pharmacist, that was never an option. And so that was part of it. But to answer your question along the, line of milestones, right after we launched in July of 2016, we launched events in corporate wellness in 2017. So it was almost, right away that we created a protocol for mobile and events and got into corporate wellness. And our first big corporate wellness partner with South by Southwest. So if you know South by Southwest, I mean, that it was one of my dreams is one day I will have a platinum badge to South by Southwest, which is something that was a dream for me, And so just cold calling and meeting the person, one of the founders, and getting put in touch with one of the right people. We were able to do corporate wellness IVs for their whole staff. And it came as a part trade, part pay. And we all got platinum badges and went to South by Southwest. And, it was just incredible. So we're already living the life and, taking the highs of the lows at that point. But we've done corporate wellness with them every single year since then. And then, of course, some other big partners are along that journey as well. And then, we launched things like NAD Plus and Exosome IVs in 2019. We opened our second brick and mortar location just north of downtown on West Anderson Lane here in Austin in January of 2022. And then last year, we surpassed the 100,000 patient mark for IVs administered safely, successfully, and effectively. So we're super proud of that. I mean, we saw over 18,000 patients and helped them with their wellness goals just last year. So it's been a really fun, wild, exciting ride.
That's awesome. That's a really, really awesome story. And the level of growth that you had from where you started, from idea to where you're at, serving over 100,000 patients, that's incredible. So let's dive into the business a little bit. So what sets your IV Hydration Lounge apart from some of the other people in this space?
That's a great question. We really feel like it has to do with me being the pharmacist and my background in the industry and really knowing that importance of quality, safety. And so really that's what our pillars are about is exceptional safety, service, and wellness. And so what most people don't realize is the act of starting an IV is a medical procedure. I mean, you have to follow medical laws. And each state's medical laws differ from state to state. And so it's very important that you abide by those medical laws due to it being a medical procedure. But what also a lot of people don't know is it's just as much pharmacy regulated as it is medical, because when it comes to mixing an IV bag or injecting anything into an IV bag, like the vitamins, nutrients, minerals, that is an act of compounding. And so there are very strict guidelines and regulations around compounding pharmacy. And while we're structured as a medical practice, my hat and what sets us apart from a lot of the other clinics is the way we mix our bags. We're set up. We have a mixing room dedicated for mixing the bags under a sterile compounding hood, and we abide by USP 797, which I'm getting a little nerdy, but are the guidelines for sterile compounding. And so that is what we're doing in-house. It's immediately administered to our patients. But, a lot of practices cut the corners and skip that part. And that's probably one of the most important pieces that I've instilled is the quality assurance piece and the patient safety part of that. Also, with my sister being on the state part of pharmacy and being able to stay ahead of those regulations and being able to pivot before everybody else knows to pivot is a big part of that too. So just having that safety piece of all the formulations that I've created, knowing that there's safe dosages, the osmolarity is correct, the SOPs on how to administer are properly designed. And so again, that all goes back to the ultimate goal, which is patient safety. So, we have nurse practitioners and nurses and paramedics are all part of our medical staff. And so anytime you come in, you're cleared by our medical provider, which is part of the Texas Medical Board requirements. And so we have every piece in a row that is legitimate. And again, to Jordan's point, we just haven't cut corners when we've established this business.
I completely agree with Jana. I feel like having a pharmacist as a co-founder of the business is just ideal when it comes to doing what we're doing and all the things that fall under that. I also feel like we focus on the patient and what need that might be. And of course, you could be that same patient, but have a different need depending upon the day that you come in. So Jana created and formulated 9 IV cocktails based upon whatever you might need that day, whether it's the athletic recovery drip or the immunity drip or just the jet lag and fatigue drip. There's all different kinds of IV cocktails that are formulated specifically designed to help you with those needs. And I think what also sets us apart is just our team. I mean, at iVitamin, our beacon light is to take the best care of patients we possibly can. And everybody that joins the iVitamin team is part of that, and that's instilled in them. And you can feel it when you walk into one of our locations. I mean, just the care. I mean, I don't know if you have any nurses in your life, but they are the most loving, compassionate, caring individuals there are. And even from the coordinator aspect, when you walk in the door, I mean, we call our team wellness warriors because we want them to genuinely know how to pronounce the injectables and the vitamins and ingredients that are in each drip and share with you how they can help you based on the goals that you're coming in and presenting to us each day. And I think that really sets us apart. I mean, we do have an iVitamin family, and our team is what creates that family. We have a membership base, and those people come in and they know our team inside and out, and you can expect the same faces. Our team's been with us a long time, and I think it just shows the mission that we're on to help people with what we're doing is really special.
That's outstanding. There's a lot of lessons in what both of you just said. One of the things, a key takeaway I have is you guys are doing it the right way. You know, there's a saying I really like, a clean conscience is a comfortable pillow. And there are times in business, I know I've had this experience, where it's very easy to say, I'm going to skip that, or no one's ever going to call me on that. And one of my business mentors told me that when you're building a business, build it as a 50-year asset, something that's going to withstand the test of time for 50 years. And especially in the industry that you're in, and the importance of safety, it's really neat that you guys are doing it the right way, which probably is not the easiest, but definitely necessary in that industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the easiest. I love that saying, because it truly is something that we feel. There's been so many people that have told us along the way, come on, you need to open another location now. And both of us agree. We're like, no, it's not time yet. We've got to work out everything. We've got to make sure that whatever we're going to replicate is how we want it to be over and over again. And so pausing and not growing and scaling too quickly has been something that we've continuously had to rein in to make sure that it was done the way that we think it should be done.
Well, very good. Very good. That's, really, really cool story. And I'm going to be down in Austin in March, and am excited to stop by and get and see it in person. I really excited about it. I've heard good things about IV therapy. I personally have never tried it, but it seems to make sense. And boy, has it been getting popular. When you started 9 years ago, was it considered mainstream, or was it fringe then?
I mean, it was fringe. I mean, at that point, it was, the only way people knew about it was the hangover drip.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is everybody's like, sure, it'll help my hangover. And while that's definitely true, it does help. But we took the approach of an overall wellness aspect, because the way we designed and the way I've formulated our drips, it's really meaningful to every single person that comes through our door, whether it's a tiredless mom, a stressed CEO, a big traveler, an athletic person who's training for a race and they need recovery, or somebody looking for detoxification. I mean, there is really, truly a place for, one of our services, no matter what the wellness goals are. And so when we started, it was more of a general wellness offering for those reasons: energy boost, immune support, hydration. But as we evolved, we really wanted to bring in more of that personalized approach. And so as we started adding services, we really wanted to focus on what does each patient need, not all the patients as one, but each individual person. And so one of the really cool things we brought on was a micronutrient test that can test for each person's very specific deficiencies. It tests for over 65 deficiencies in vitamins, minerals, nutrients, antioxidants. And so that way we can pinpoint exactly what that person may need and custom more of a tailored approach to that. And so as we grew and more of that personalized area, we started adding the popular weight loss drugs, the semaglutide and tirzepatide, and we've seen tremendous results with that. I mean, it's literally changing people's lives. And so another thing as we've added to our service line is our IV Elite category, which includes NAD, which, helps mold and remodel our mitochondria to produce more ATP, energy, so to speak, and exosomes, which is a version of stem cells. And we're currently not launching an NAD enhancement product called Niagen, which will be available as of now. And so we're continuously adding service lines to provide more optimization for our patients.
Yeah, that's really neat. That is really neat. So we've talked about the brick and mortar, the expansion into your second brick and mortar. We've talked about the success that you've had in the mobile clinics. Going to South by Southwest is out. That's awesome. And so let's talk about this exciting third step, the fractional franchise model. So how does this model serve as a turnkey solution for small business owners? And what does that look like?
Oh my gosh, we're super excited to be able to launch this. We've been working on it for years. It was actually ready right when COVID hit. And so we pivoted and opened our second location because no one was going into businesses and offices and clinics anymore. So we've done a lot of refinement, and I think it helps to just explain what that even is, right? So unlike a true traditional franchise, a fractional franchise means you already have a business, you already have a thriving business, but it might look like what we've experienced ourselves, where year over year, you're looking for ways to bring on more services or other things that you can provide your patients, especially in the wellness arena. It might look like, something that you're looking to just generate growth for the business and grow year over year. All of those are real business owner challenges that we face. And so the fractional franchise is the satellite locations. So it's called iVitamin Plus, whatever location that would be going in. And we like to give the image of a Starbucks and a Target. So it's a fractional iVitamin plugged into your already existing business. So why we think it's genius is because you already have the overhead. Most likely you have the staff. If not, you'd hire a staff member that could do IVs. And it's essentially starting a new business in your already thriving business, which is going to be an immediate additional stream of income monthly. And you're also going to be able to share this wellness option with patients that you already see, the patients that are already there. So the overhead and the costs are not going to be effective. And essentially you can take a proven method and model and put it into your business to start IV therapy and do it successfully off of what we've proven out.
I really like that. And I would imagine the support of a second generation compounding pharmacist and the products that you guys have come up with in your brick and mortar stores, those would all be available to the franchisee?
So the turnkey solution is we will pretty much come in and give you everything to get started, everything from the clinical side of things to the non-clinical side of things, the operations part. So from a clinical standpoint, that means you have access to our IP, our formulations that I've created, all of the mixing room setup. We'll come in and set that up for you. All of the established SOPs, from how to start an IV to what happens if somebody has a reaction, the full gamut of SOPs is included in this. One of the big pieces of this is the inventory. It's like, how do I order? Where do I order? Well, that's a big part of, I would call it my baby, is also vetting out the compounding pharmacies where we do order our injectables from, the injectables that go inside the IV bag. And so that is something our staff will help facilitate, is the ordering process for them. And so a big part too is it comes with our EHR, which it stands for electronic health record. It's important, it's a requirement. And so we have all those pieces in place with the oversight of the medical director, which is huge. There's already a physician in place overseeing all of these operations. And so that's, a big part of the clinical piece. From the non-clinical piece, we have the structure, we have the proper entities in place for medical practice. We have all of the systems to make the front end checkout process smooth. We're a membership-based business, so our EHR is also a point of sale, and so our staff helps train on all of that to help facilitate that, generating that recurring revenue. And so what gives this also gives access to our clinical manager and educator who comes in and trains the clinical staff, and also our general manager who's been with us for 7 years since pretty much we got going. She knows everything just as much as we do about the business, comes in and trains the front staff to ensure the talk tracks are on point. They know how to sell the memberships. And so we really do have this full package from the front end to the back end buttoned up nicely. So that's the turnkey part of it.
Outstanding. I really like that. Now, you guys had talked about how selective you are when you're hiring your own employees. And so I would imagine that as you're looking to partner with a franchisee, that same thing is important. And so what would the ideal candidate be like for a franchisee? And what if they don't have any medical experience? Like, what is that a limitation?
That's a great question. And, as we've been building this out, a big part of that is the financial model, right? And so we were looking at what volumes make sense, what revenues on both sides would make sense for a good partnership. And so what our target really is an established business that sees over 400 patients or clients a month. They're probably doing maybe $750K a year to $1 million a year, maybe. And so they're looking for an additional stream of revenue. They don't have the time or wherewithal, know how to do it. They're looking for a cash-based infusion. And they just don't have the knowledge, to your point, the medical background to do it. That is where we come in. Additionally, it's important they have a space. I mean, if they're already seeing, like-minded clients, they may have a space for 2, 4, maybe 6 IV chairs. So that would be important. So some examples would be an existing med spa that maybe they're doing aesthetic services or doing a facial that may last 45 minutes. Well, meanwhile, they could be hooked up to an iRejuvenate IV that's helping them from the inside out while they're getting their facial. So there's a lot of opportunities and crossover for an existing business to add this in. Another great example is maybe there's some medical practices who are just sick and tired of dealing with insurance. They're looking for a cash-based infusion, and this is perfect because it's a cash-based business. Some other avenues would be chiropractors. A lot of chiropractors have different avenues themselves, but a lot of them are wellness focused and already doing wellness focused services. Perfect addition for IV therapy. Cryotherapy is a great one too. They have all the equipment for all the biohacking services. How perfect IV therapy would fit into that. So really and truly, it's if it's a business that is looking for an additional stream of revenue and they don't want to buy a big piece of equipment. Because a lot of these additional, like for example, our medical director, I was talking to him at our Christmas party over the holidays, and he was like, man, I just bought this $60,000 machine. I had to create the protocols, find the right person to train. I had to find the patients to come use it. All this, a service line is a lot to build out. And so that is what we're providing, a complete service line, front end to back end, in a package. So
Very nice. Very nice. And I really like that the medical backing that you guys are providing. If you're going to start a business injecting somebody with an IV, boy, is safety is critical. You ask yourself, what could sink the ship? Injecting the wrong thing or the wrong protocol. So I really like that and the support that you guys are providing. So as many of our listeners know, I'm a retired accountant, and I always like to dive into the economics of what this looks like. So let's talk franchise fee. Let's talk revenue. Let's talk profitability on what it would look like to franchise an iVitamin Plus.
Yeah. So when we go down the financial model, we thought, what better way than to base it off real data that we've lived and proved. And so the model that we can show someone is it's going to be based off of what we did at our newest location, which we opened in January of 2022. And because the model is so unique with it having all of that overhead essentially already taken care of, what we're showing is someone can add an additional $50,000 a month to their monthly revenue by month 6 after opening an iVitamin Plus. So again, the franchise fee is, the entry fee is less than $35,000 to get started. The franchise fee alone is $25,000, so it comes at a fractional price. And then, we give that conservative amount and say $35,000 or less, including the fractional franchise fee, because if you wanted to do a build out of a mixing room, if you needed to purchase the hood, if you wanted to do 6 to 8 massage chairs, that gives you that space to be able to utilize that capital. But again, most of these partners may already have the space. They may already have a room they're not even using with chairs in it that they could do some minor tweaks and get their business up and going. So we're talking about profit margin. I mean, the profit margins are anywhere from 50 to 60%, dependent upon the expenses they have. If somebody came and told me that I could start a business inside iVitamin for less than $35,000, add an additional $50,000 by the 6th month of operating this business and operate at a 50% profit margin, that would be a no-brainer for us.
To all of our Amazon sellers that have been getting beat down and have single-digit margins, I want to emphasize that point. And to fight to stay in the teens it's a tough. That was my businesses, or are my businesses is high single digits and low double digits, and it just takes a long time to grow at that pace. Yeah. And so I really like that economic model, and what you were saying about people that have existing clinics where this is something that they can just plug in. And it comes with the know-how. I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, I know I felt this way, where I'll embark on a new endeavor and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't. And I learn, I watch YouTube and I talk to people, but, I think as I think about this franchise model, having the backbone of, a successful business that's been here for 9 years, that has pharmacists on staff and that's critical. That's critical. And it eliminates that step, which is a lonely feeling of, I don't know what I'm doing and I can't tell anybody that. And so, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And this is based off of, there was no patient existence for us to begin with. Right. So these numbers are based off of building a new location without a patient base. What our model is going to do is utilize the patients that are already coming in your door and give you all of the tools and support needed to make that a successful business. Of course, you're going to still attract more patients outside, but that'll even, benefit the business even more because they're going to be able to take advantage of the services that you have. You asked the question earlier if, this would be a good model for somebody that didn't have that medical personnel. And yes, it can still be a good model for that. They would have to hire that nurse. And so that would take, a percentage that would go into effect on that profit margin that I spoke of earlier. But for that, to be able to do that, it's you're getting a physician, you're getting the insurance, you're getting the whole system. I mean, when they come into that clinic, it's going to be all of the patients that are there for iVitamin services on an iPad with a business already built into that you just start making revenue off of.
Outstanding. Before we turn the page and move on to a new topic, anything else about the economics of this that would be helpful to somebody who's interested?
So I think when we talk about ongoing support, Jana touched on some of the things from a non-clinical standpoint that are included, but marketing is a huge value add benefit that we're also providing. And what that looks like is from a financial standpoint too. You're going to get ad creatives that we've already utilized. You're going to get email nurture sequence campaigns. So when you get entered in as an iVitamin Plus patient, you're going into the iVitamin corporate email nurture campaign sequence with all the emails that an agency has created that are following through that customer journey. You're also going to get graphics and assets and things like that. So there's that ongoing support too that can also help with that financial piece as well.
Absolutely.
So David, I want to add to that too. Like our brand and what we've created is very important to us. We're trying to protect that. That's part of the reason we went the fractional route, is to maintain and protect our brand. And so we created the support model, the training model, just as we would if it was an internal personnel. I mean, that is what they will get, is as if they're internal with us. That's just an extension of us. And so they will get the same support that we give our current staff and all the things internally we do at our corporate offices.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. That's really important. So let's talk about the membership side of iVitamin Plus and what that looks like.
Absolutely. Our members are our family. And part of that fractional franchise offering is given that proven, branded, successful membership model for others to be able to incorporate into their existing businesses. So right now, financially, our membership revenue is about 50% of our monthly revenue. So 50% of our revenue we know is going to be there tomorrow as long as we maintain those members and keep, introducing that membership package. And especially for a medical practice that takes insurance, having a recurring revenue base for a membership model could be very impactful to a business like that. If you already have a membership base and you're non-medical, say a wellness practice, this is a model that can ensure that you have one that's proven out that the next day you're going to have that revenue in that base of business, which is super helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad we got into that. So we're definitely going to have you guys on the show again and do a part 2 of this episode because I feel like we just scratched the surface. But as we wrap up this interview, there's a list of 4 questions that we ask all of our guests. We call it the fire round. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Jana, what is your favorite book?
So a book that I'm reading right now that is day by day changing my life is by David Bayer, A Changed Mind. He is a mindset coach and is a phenomenal, not just speaker, but human. We've had the opportunity to meet and work with him through 4 Rooms Mastermind. And so this book gives the framework to change your mindset, to eliminate limiting beliefs, eliminate those negative thoughts, to really break through the barriers that's holding you back to accomplish all the things you want to do. And so in this book, he gives just exercises in the framework to do daily, which I've been implementing, and it's truly changing my life day by day. Just my focus for this year is mindset. And so that is the book I'm in love with right now.
Outstanding. And Jordan, what about you? Your favorite book?
My favorite book, there's so many that come to mind, but one that I reference often is Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. And I love it and bring it back around full circle often because I feel like so much can be accomplished if we just say the hard things, if we just get to the point faster and are very frank with certain things that are on our mind, we can accomplish so much more. And so I feel like it's a really good tool for an entrepreneur.
Very good. I'm going to have to add that to my reading list. So, Jana, what are your hobbies outside of e-commerce and wellness?
Well, we were a blended family of 5. We have 2 small children at home. So a lot of our hobbies entail outdoors. We live on 2.5 acres and anything out in nature is inspiring and grounding. And so we call it the funny farm, actually. We have dogs, we have cats, we have a bird, we have chickens. And so a lot of our time is devoted to family, especially with small children. It's, challenging to do things out, for myself, but I do incorporate a lot of crafts and outdoorsy things with my kids. Jordan and I also share a wake surfing boat. So we spend a lot of time on the lake wake surfing. So anything related to water, you'll find us there. We both have beach houses down on the Texas coast that we spend time at. So water, beaches, outdoors is where my heart lives.
Outstanding. And Jordan, what about you? What are your hobbies?
Yeah, very similar. We're lake rats. We recently moved to Lake Travis where we keep our boat that we share. And so my kids are 9 and 11. And so wake surfing is our passion. It's our happy place. We're out there often. We also love to travel. Our kids are in year-round school. So every 6 weeks they get a break and we try to travel and explore other cultures. And that's been really, really amazing for the ages that they're at, because I know that they're not going to be this age for very much longer. They're going to get into those teenage years and that's going to change drastically. So again, same thing, anything outdoors in nature. We love to snowboard and travel and anything on the water.
Very neat. Since you both mentioned wake surfing, I as an amateur wake surfer, I've always felt like if you can do it without holding the rope, you're good.
That's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Yes. And someday I hope to let go of that rope, but I'm not there yet. So
you should see our children, David. It's pretty impressive. I mean, 8, 9, and 11, and they're surfing circles around us.
Well, you just found your surfing coaches because Jordan taught me, and then I taught my kids, and everybody, taught a lot of people. So you're up.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. 2025 is the year. So, all right. Jana, what's one thing that you do not miss about working for the man?
One thing I do not miss, I'll tell you what I love about being an entrepreneur is the flexibility. Just very powerful to do what I want, when I want, make the decisions that I want. And it is ultimately my call. And so that's very freeing. And so I don't have to answer to anybody else. I do answer to Jordan sometimes, but in terms of, the corporate America role, just the flexibility, while it does come with, a lot of work and dedication, perseverance, and a lot of other things, I wouldn't trade it. I just love the flexibility in my life.
All right. Very good. Very good. And Jordan, what about you? What's one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
I don't miss selling someone else's vision and mission. I'm laser focused on ours, and it's a good feeling.
Outstanding. What advice, Jana, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to scale their business?
Well, going back to what we said earlier is go slow and implement appropriately. Implement the necessary pieces that are scalable and make sure those are refined so that when you're ready to go, you're not shuffling around trying to refine them when you're scaling. Set the framework, set the stage, and refine it early on so that you have something to build from.
Outstanding. And Jordan, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs looking to scale their business?
I would say don't be afraid to ask for help. I feel like Jana and I are both very trainable, and advisors love working with us because we soak it in and we usually act and execute on it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I think we've gotten to where we are today because we know we don't know what we don't know. And we're happy to have the help. And I'm look back at our journey and so grateful for all the pivotal people and mentors and minds that have helped us get where we are today, even inadvertently. They might not have even known, the impact there. But I think it's so key. And as entrepreneurs, we at times feel lonely and it's hard to keep going. And I think those relationships and having that support around you can be really impactful with that.
I'm glad that you mentioned that loneliness because it sure doesn't seem that way when you look on Instagram or Facebook. It seems like us entrepreneurs are driving around in Lamborghinis all day long while someone else handles our problems. And I at least have not found that to be the case. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So this has been an outstanding interview, and we're really looking forward to having you back on the show. If people are interested in getting in touch with you or learning more about the iVitamin Plus, what is the best way to do that?
So you can go to our website, ivitamin.therapy.com. And at the bottom, you can scroll down. There's opportunities, and iVitaminPlus.com is specifically for the fractional franchise.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Firing the Man, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, David.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?